First thing is the agenda. We have a quite a packed agenda, so we'll get started. I'll just give an introduction about Techno-PM, and then we are going to jump straight into what everybody is here for, which is the certification timeline for 27001. We'll look at some of the details. We'll showcase the fast track, and then we have received a few questions from everyone, so we'll try to answer all of them. If not, we'll get back to you in an email. We also have an optional preview of our compliance platform, which we can have a look at. Moving on, about us, Techno-PM was founded in 2016. I'm the principal consultant and founder of Techno-PM. We have offices in 3 countries, which is US, Australia, India. We have over 30,000 people using our resources worldwide, which is something which we are very proud of. We have 10 different brands, so ISO docs, ITSM docs, IT Gov docs, and so on, which we cater to different sections of the industry. We have over 10 years building compliance and governance solutions, and we support over 20 compliance frameworks. Moving on to the reason why we are all here, the certification timeline. So we have 2 views which we are going to discuss today. One is the certification timeline. This is more like a 30,000-foot view for your executives, for somebody who wants to know how the certification process works at a high level. So we have a timeline here where we are saying 12 weeks, but I know a lot of you will have questions if it is really achievable in 12 weeks or not. And the honest answer to that, it depends on how well the ISMS is documented, how well you can turn around on the issues that the auditor finds. But having said that, let's deep dive into what each of these phases mean. So in the project planning phase, this is generally where we get along. We understand what needs to be done. We put a plan, we allocate resources, and we put a timeline for ourselves. The next step is the documentation workshop. This is the most intensive phase of the entire project, because this is where we find out what policies are needed. We have to go through the statement of applicability and find out what is applicable to the organization. Then we also have to find out what are the risks. We essentially go through the whole documentation process. And this can sometimes take time. From our experience with our clients, we have seen some clients respond faster and some clients take more time. So we as a team are always ready, but then most often we see that our clients have different priorities, which is understandable in today's business. So that is the most intensive part. And the next is, once you have your documentation ready, once you have evidence ready, what you do is you start with your internal audit. With internal audit, our experience is the first time you do an internal audit, it takes longer, because you're doing it for the first time. You're going to find a lot of gaps. But internal audit is something which has to be done regularly. A lot of organizations have an internal audit department who will do it, but I know not everybody can have a separate internal audit department. So we can help clients as well, or you can have somebody else help you, but doing regular internal audits is one of the best ways to keep your ISMS updated. Now, what we have seen is we spend a lot of time in the phase 2 and 3, because often there's internal audits, we find an issue, then we go back, we fix the documentation, then we come back, then again we do another round, and then we find more. So for the first time, like I said, it takes time, but then once your ISMS is set up, you go ahead and the internal audit becomes much more easier. So till here, it's all part of the team which is implementing it, and the organization So after this is where you engage your external auditors. Now, to be clear, stage 1 and stage 2 has to be done by the external certification body. It is something that we don't do. We help with the implementation or getting the client ready for an internal audit. But stage 1 and stage 2 and the actual certification is done by an external certification body. There are different certification bodies. We will not get into that today. Maybe that's another session. But what happens in stage 1 and stage 2? Once you engage your certification body, what happens is in stage 1, what they look at is, are you ready for stage 2? Do you have your ISMS? Do you have the basic documentation? Do you have, let's say, do you even do management reviews? Do you even have information security policy? So stage 1 is short, and it is a validation of you have actually an ISMS working. It doesn't go into too much detail, but stage 1 gives you an idea if you're ready for stage 2 or if you're even ready for the certification. So if you clear stage 1, that means you have the basic building blocks of an ISMS. So once the stage 1 is clear, you move to stage 2. And in stage 2 is where the deep dive happens. Auditors look at all the policies, they look at all your evidence, they look at how you have been implementing your controls, they look at whether you have been conducting your management reviews regularly, whether you have been tracking your NCRs, and things like that. So stage 2 can be really detailed and can be really resource intensive because there's a lot of information that goes back and forth. Now, an obvious question I'm sure everybody has is how long does it take? And the answer to that is it depends on the size of your organization, the complexity of the work that you do, and also how quick you can respond to auditors' requests. We have seen stage 1 and stage 2 sometimes go on for much longer. Stage 2 definitely. But stage 1, if you don't respond on time, if you don't give the auditor the required information, then it can take much longer time. We have also seen stage 1 where it is just done in a few days because everything was ready. The auditor has everything they need. And one of the key things that happens in stage 1 is you have a kickoff call. So this is where you have the organization who wants to do the certification, and you also have the external auditor verifying that it is an actual organization, they are a legit company, or they are a legit entity. So all that happens in stage 1. And once you move to stage 2, it is more of evidence and your proof of the policy and other things. Now, the last step, once assuming you clear stage 2, sometimes you might have some minor findings which you have to implement and then make sure they are implemented throughout the process where you maintain an ISMS, valid ISMS, and then you go to the certification. So that part of getting the documentation and the certification is what it is handled by the external auditor. We estimate that it can take up to 1 or 2 weeks for you to get the actual certification. Sometimes it's faster, depends on the region, depends on the auditor that you have. But the auditors we have, we partner with external partners. We have a commitment of 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, maximum, you will get the certificate. Our goal is to kind of get the certificate within a week, because most often we see our clients want to do the certification when they have a project or a client asking for it. So this was a very high-level timeline of the 27001 certification. Now, the title of the slide is ISO because this will apply to all the ISO standards, whether you do 27001, whether you do 9001, or you do an integrated management system, which is a combination of 9001, 45001, and 14001. So regardless of which ISO certification you take, this is the standard timeline. Moving on to the next slide, where we will get into the details of what are the different stages. Now, from our experience, what we have seen is that the whole project can be divided into different stages. And that has been the main motivation for us to also build our FastTrack solution. So the first stage is the project initiation stage. Now, this is where you gather all the scope, you gather the resources. And from my perspective, it's very important at this point of time to have management support. And from our experience, what I've seen is a lot of companies, a lot of organizations start the certification process, but then after a few months, they lose the motivation for it. And we sometimes see it as either budget constraints or resource constraints, or a common theme is where a client or a project that was supposed to come did not come, so they lose interest. And it is very hard because you do the work for 3 months, your ISMS is half built, and they go, and the next time they come back when the client is another client or another project needs ISO certification. So then again, we start from scratch. It takes longer time. So when you start the project, your certification project, you have to absolutely make sure that you have your management support, and the project will continue whether the client comes or not, because you will need 27001 certification anyway. So that is the thing that I would lock down in the actual initiation phase. Moving on, the scope and governance. This is where you define what is going to be covered as part of your ISMS. And honestly, the standard, the 27001 standard itself is very flexible. There is no specific requirement. Even it doesn't tell you have to document it using an Excel. It doesn't tell you document it in Word. You have to have these documents. It just tells you the information that is needed, and it's up to you and your company to decide how you document it. So you go through your scope, you find out what all is applicable to your business, what makes sense to have it in the scope and governance. The third step is the risk assessment. This is where you go through all your risks, you go through all the controls that you want to put in place, and essentially look at your whole business and find out, in terms of risks, you can look at risks which are specific to your organization, to your departments, or you can also look at risks which are generally applicable to your industry. So if you're in a construction industry, then you can look at what generic risks are applicable. And the good thing is, within our FastTrack solution, we have actually automated this. So given your scope and your basic organization details, the tool will actually list all the risks associated specific to your organization, your team, and also your general industry. And then we move on to Statement of Applicability. This is one of the most important documents in ISMS, I think, after your information security policy, because Statement of Applicability tells you what is actually applicable to you or not. And the way we have seen it work is, most of the common standards that you have in 2701 are applicable to all, but when you go to Annex A, that's when you look at it harder, whether some of these are applicable to you or not, and you have to make a decision what is applicable or not. The auditor may have a view when he comes in, but it also depends on you if you're in a business which should implement that annex. After this, what you do is policy development. So this is where you create all the policies, you create all the necessary procedures needed. If you don't have them, or if you have something, then you use them. And that is what I always tell our clients, that if you have something that you have defined, you don't need to create it from scratch. You can use that policy existing as it is and see how you can use it in 27001. ISO doesn't need that you have all brand new policies documented. You can reuse whatever you have as far as how you update it and you maintain it. That is all it is needed. And then control implementation is where you actually look at your risks, a statement of applicability, and then you decide what controls are needed. This is the most tricky part for me and all of our clients because it's quite an intense activity to go through all the risks, statement of applicability, what is applicable and what are the controls. And then you move to evidence collection. This is one of the most challenging phases for me in 27001 because not every organization is ready for this. Not every organization follows the same standard. For example, we have had auditors ask us, okay, you have a document, you have a management review, but that is not signed by the management. And the reason for that is because there was a signature option in the document. So the point is, if you have a signature option on the document, then it needs to be signed. But there are some auditors who say it's fine if it is a minutes of meeting which is being sent, we will take that as evidence. So it differs from auditor to auditor, but the underlying theme that we have seen is if you say you're doing something in your policy, for example, let's talk about your business continuity policy. If you have a business continuity policy and a disaster recovery plan, and you say we are going to do a DR test, a disaster recovery test every 6 months, then you have to do the test and then capture the information, capture the results, what was tested, how it was tested, and what was signed off. Or you have documented evidence why you didn't do the test. What was the reasons for not doing it? What auditors cannot accept is you have a policy which says we will do every 6 months, but you don't do anything. And that is the most difficult part. And that is applicable across. If you're saying you're going to do an internal audit every 6 months, then you have to do the internal audit. And if you're not doing it, then you have to document the reasons for it and get management approval. You cannot have an internal audit plan which will say every 6 months or 3 months and you don't do it. And ISO doesn't tell you if you have to do your internal audit every 6 months. ISO doesn't tell you you have to do your disaster recovery test every 6 months. You as the business owner, you as the stakeholder, or you as the ISMS owner have to make a decision what is the best fit for you. ISO is very flexible, I again say that. And many times we have seen the controls or the documentation which is created sometimes is not required by the standard. So if you're going through a certification audit, or if you're working with an external party who's coming and auditing you, the question you should ask them is, what does the standard ask? That is a very important question. Standard is very simple. You probably can read it in a few hours. It doesn't have any specifics. It doesn't dictate how you have to do certain things. It just tells you that you have to do certain things, but how you do it, it's up to you. It's how you capture the evidence, it's up to you. Moving on to management review, again, one of the most sticky points we have, because things like management review, risk assessment, making sure your controls documentation is updated. This is not only during the audit, not only during the certification process. This is something that you have to do all the time. And you have to make sure that you conduct management reviews regularly, as you have committed in your management review policy or your information security policy. It's up to you how you do it. But once you commit to it, there needs to be a meeting. You need to look at what are the current issues in ISMS, how your ISMS is performing. And it doesn't need to be a very formal meeting. If you have a team meeting every month, you can do your management review in that. If you have a town hall type meeting with everybody in your organization, you can still do it as a part of that. It needs to be documented saying management review was done. These are the things that we reviewed our ISMS. Again, there is flexibility. from ISO to run the management reviews like you want. Doesn't need to be a very formal meeting. It is good if you can have it on a calendar every quarter or every 6 months, so there is somebody who's driving it. The last stage is your stage 1 and stage 2 audits. We have discussed them in length. I don't want to go into further detail. But again, stage 1 and stage 2, the external auditor is the last phase of the ISO implementation. Moving on, let's discuss some of the common implementation challenges. I touched on a few while we were talking. One is uncertainty to where to begin. This is one of the common things. And this is where, again, our FastTrack solution can help because it guides you through everything. Then we have an issue which we discussed, senior management support. It is absolutely necessary. It is quite a resource-intensive task, so you have to have. One of the problems we've seen is a lot of clients create a lot of documents. It's like the more documents, the better. It doesn't need to be. You can have just the minimum set of documentation and still get certified. You don't have to have a complex software system. You can just get certified with the documents. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but that's what we do. That's what we work with our clients on. We get them certified. You don't need a very complex software. As far as you have the system working, your ISMS working in some other form. Understanding Annex A, that's another challenge for everyone. It is somewhat detailed. It is somewhat involved. People get confused, but that's why we are here. Linking risks to controls. We touched on this briefly. Identifying and documenting required evidence. Like I discussed before, sometimes what evidence is needed differs from auditors to auditors. But again, ISO standard doesn't say that you have to have a physical signature. It doesn't say you have to have a digital signature. It doesn't say you can't document it in email. It's really up to you how you do it. Preparing for internal audits. This is a challenge for everybody. One, because it is resource intensive. Second, people don't know what's going to happen in internal audits. And that's where, again, we come out with checklists and work with the client to make sure they're ready. Measuring certificate readiness. I think this is one area where a lot of our clients struggle. They always ask us, are we ready? Are we not ready? And this is where we come in and we do an internal audit. And we also have our tool, FastTrack, which will tell you if you're ready or not. Moving on, what auditors expect. This is a general list. I think we have gone through this, but from our experience, this is the theme we see where different auditors ask for different information. And again, to be clear, ISO doesn't ask you to say, this needs to be an Excel, this needs to be PowerPoint. It's up to you what you're going to, how you're going to document it. Key documents and evidences required. So we have given a few which we have seen always conflict. There is a general list of documents like ISMS scope, organizational context, control records, internal audit report. That's again something that they ask for. Corrective actions register. Again, that register can be in a software, in a Word document, in a PowerPoint, wherever you maintain it. You just have to be maintained. Some of the sticky points that we have seen where we get into discussions is user access reviews and training records. Training records is always a bit of a challenge. Some customers have very formal tools, so you just get a record from there and give it to the auditor. Some don't. It's very hard to get the evidence from that. Backup reports and security logs. Again, an gray area because sometimes logs get overwritten, logs are not on. The backup happens off-site. We don't have access to that. Vulnerability scans and incident reports. I've seen auditors asking for this, but to be honest, it again depends if you are doing vulnerability scans. Incident records, I think something that is needed. If you are an organization which is in service, which is in IT service management or provide some sort of a service, you definitely need to have your incident, your normal incident, but you also need to have your major incident and minor incident management process. Supplier reviews and asset inventory, again, a sticky point. Not a lot of this is documented. And the change approvals. We often see that customers make changes in a hurry and then they don't have the approvals for it. So we have to sometimes do retrospective approvals. That was the evidence, certification readiness. This is a general checklist. This is not a very comprehensive checklist. So essentially talking about all the factors. We are going to share this PowerPoint after the webinar. So please be assured you will get that and also the meeting recording. I've discussed most of this. The only thing I'm going to point out is the last certification readiness is about confidence and not assumptions. So that's very important. When you go through the readiness, you just have to make sure you have all the documents and everything needed for it. Moving on, how fast tracking. This is where our fast track solution comes into picture. Now, we have done many internal audits, many certifications, and based on that, we have built a tool which actually will help people who want to get certified. And to be clear, this tool has a lot of smarts built in. And what we have understood from our customers' experiences, our customers want to own their ISMS. Our customers don't want that their documents and their controls and everything reside outside their control. So what we have done is we have built FastTrack, and we have stages at every after every stage you get something called as a stage pack, and in that stage pack you have the documents. So even though this is software, even though this is something that will generate all the documents, you will still own them, you will still keep them, you can download them, you can come back and edit them. We'll show a quick demo of that now. Alex, over to you. Should I stop sharing, Alex?
Okay. Thanks, Swapnil. Is my screen visible, team? Okay. Thanks, Swapnil, for handing over this session. As you all know, he has walked you through the traditional journey, how actually the certification takes place from stage 1, internal audit, till the certification. So I'm really excited because today it is not just another webinar about 27,000, but today we are introducing something we have been working for quite some time. If you have ever implemented 27,001, if you have worked as a consultant, or if you have been working responsible for preparing an organization for certification, I think today's session will be very interesting for you. So good morning, everyone. As I'm someone who has spent several years seeing the same implementation challenges over and over, and then decided to build a better way to get started with 27,001 certification. So before we begin, I'd like to ask a simple question. How many of you have ever started an 27,001 implementation by opening just a Microsoft Word document, blank document? I hope so. Many of us, as an certification journey, we start with the blank documents, blank spreadsheets, blank risk registers, blank policy templates. It takes weeks and sometimes months of work. So here at this point, to make it clear, we have personally seen consultants spending more time from formatting the documents than actually advising the clients. I believe a consultant would spend their time in solving problem, not just creating the tables in the Word format. So we have spoken to the consultants across the globe, where among the different industries, we came across some common challenges, like blank documentation, manual mapping, repetitive work, spreadsheet overload, evidence tracking, stakeholder coordination. Eventually, projects become delayed, budgets increases, and team loses the momentum, and certification gets pushed further and away. This is where we ourselves asked one question: can AI help organization build the foundation of 27001 implementation while keeping the consultants in control? Uh, Notice something: we are not asking AI to just uh, provide some 200 questions or something to upload the policies. We are just taking the simple questions background of the organization, and then we are proceeding with. So I'm going to show you something interesting where we don't start by asking you to upload the policies. We just ask you about the organization. So starting here, we'll be going through the fast track. So this is the interface where we just give an input about the organization name. So we'll consider the company name as Nova Technologies. We'll take an employee count as 200, 50 to 50 to 200, and we have industry. Let's take as a technology. The Nova deals with the technology and it might be anything: the software, the technical, the service based. So we'll be asking for the country or the origin. So the next step is to enter where the hosting environment is rightly the Nova is dealing with. We'll select for AWS and Azure, and what type of data is processed in this organization. So for the demo, I'll be considering the personal data and the payment card details. So next step is the final step is what is the certification goal, whether we are doing for the first time, we are migrating from the other frameworks we already have partially implemented. So let's consider first time implementation, and the risk appetite will give medium, or else let's say we do high. So once I give the complete setup, then the the backend engine will start analyzing every data, and will be logged into this interface where I'll make you a note. If I go on entering the manual data, it takes somewhere around 30 plus minutes. So what I'll do is I'll not making just one thing, that we'll be considering the previous examples where we see all the data is been populated, so we can finish it in time. And I'll be switching this tab now. So this is where you land up after entering the basic details of the organization. So in this, we see the to import the governance and multiple resources. We can see the company website, upload document. These are the 5 different cards where we fetch the information of the organization to populate the roles and responsibilities. Our backend engine will work on capturing the ISMS owner, approval authority, governance roles, and responsibilities. So when I hit run extraction, the backend engine goes search everything and then give us the basic details of what all is been provided in the back URLs. So in the next step, we also see the hierarchy. This is a freestyle. We also can do the changes as per the organization detail and needs. So in the final stage, we see the actual data before approval to going to the next stage. We see what all data is been populated. We have to just cross verify as an user to see who is actual ISMS owner, who is the assigned person, and who is what are the responsibilities of them. If you see in the any stage that if anything is mismatched, then we have an option here to edit the current stage. Okay, if we find it is accurate and as per the organization, then it is good to go. Then we can proceed to the second stage. Also, I'd like to tell you that we have a download option. This is based in the stage packs, where at every stage you can download the documents, and also we have another button to see all the stages in one single go. So we have not yet gone till 10th stage. After the 10th stage, we can download it. But to show you, we can download each and every stage. So going on to the next stage, that is ISMS Foundation, where it is also important aspect in ISMS. Here, the ISMS scope is being defined by the AI engine, where it will define based on the previous inputs what it has been captured. And also, we have an option to edit and change the scope as well. Okay, it will locate and tell you what are the in scope systems, what are the locations, and if we have any locations exclusions, we can also add the exclusions here. Going on to the next, we can see the context and interested parties. This tool actually goes as per the clauses. At this stage, we are seeing clause 0 to 4, where ISMS speaks about the interested parties and the context of the organization. So the AI has populated all the data, and it has given the internal issues and external issues. uh, at the final review and approval stage, you can just take an overview before hitting the next stage. So once we confirm this, and also we can see here we can download any of the documents at this stage. Right now we'll not be doing it. We'll do it at the final stage. So going on to the next stage, that is risk methodology. Here, this stage defines how risks are evaluated, how the likelihood is captured, what is the impact, and based on that, how the risk is accepted, and what are the treatments we have done here. The final is the method of approval. We see what are the actual risk stages in our organization, and we go to stage 4, that is risk and assessment. Here, the fast track populates all the assets in the form of registers. We can just see the names, the types, the owners, and the classification. So in case if we don't find any of the asset or it is missing out, then we have an option to add here, to add the assets. Now we can directly add it to here. Then based on the assets, we can also evaluate the risk as per the assets. We can see the treatment of that. We can have the review and approval at the final stage. What are the assets, what are the risk, and how many parts to be treated. So going on to the stage 5, that is controls and statement of applicability. This stage where AI will, you don't actually need to go and choose each and every clauses which is applicable to the organization, or probably the document that generate the most questions during 27,000 on implementation. The goal is not to blindly hit and mark every control applicable. The AI will be giving you, but our involvement, we have to just go and cross verify which are the controls applicable, and we can make it, edit it at any stage. After that, we just run to the justification and ownership. We have to just cross verify the particular control is being assigned to which owner and who is working on what. Based on that, we'll just review the final approval before going to the next stage. We see organization roles has 37 applicables. People and controls, we have 8. Physical control, we have 10. And technological controls, we have 33. Even at this stage, we can see we can download the statement of applicability, annex control register, control applicability, and ownership register, control implementation and status register. So to the next stage is policies and procedure. The policies, we have the policies mapped here, where the AI will write the policies for the newer technologies, considering the previous inputs what it has taken, and instead of opening the blank documents here, and as I mentioned in the beginning, this AI will generate the structured policy drafts. So we can also view any of the policies at this stage. We can see it has populated each and every details here: who is the author, owner, effective date, and the purpose, scope, asset management and use, data protection and classification, access control and authentication, and so on. And also we can see what are the controls applicable to this at the end of this. Here we can see which are the controls and what are the priority for this. We can also change it as per our organizational needs. So coming back, we can also view each and every policies here. There are 34 policies generated. If in a case if we find something is missing to be added, we can edit this stage and add anything required to the policies, and we can just verify and move on to the approval stage. And we can see this evidence stage where document just don't achieve certification, but evidence does. And this stage reminds the organization what operational evidence needs to exist. Here evidence, we can just populate the evidences. Even the AI engine has also populated few of the evidences, and in case if we find any of the evidences still to be added, then we have a checklist where you'll be open to add here. Further, we can just have a review who is the owner of that particular evidence to be resolved working on. Finishing that, we'll jump onto the internal audit, where in internal audit, the system, at this stage, the system has already understood what should be audited, where to helping the internal auditors prepare a structured reviews. We can just have taken overview. The audit scope is being generated with the help of AI based on the previous inputs. And also we can edit at this stage if we need anything added on here. This is audit execution. As per the clauses, it will show you till what stage we have done. And let's see, yes, there is a clause for Annex 8.6. We have marked it as observation. So in the similar way, we can just verify what at what stage we are in the internal audit process. And this is the final stage for approval. And also we can see what are the documents available here. These many documents so far we have generated. So going on to the ninth stage, the management review, it involves the involvement is essential in 27001. This stage brings the governance, audit results, risk and performance together. It is a combined way to just take a look where the organization is performing. Further, we'll come to the decision and action, where we can see just who is the owner, who is involved in what type of the non-conformities who is working on. Next, the final one is approval, where seeing all these details, we can just add on and give an approval for the next stage, where this is the final stage where we take the few questions from the readiness checklist. Readiness checklist, where we capture each and every questions based on the organization performance. For contextual scope, also we get AI suggested for this, whether it is high or compliant. Next, we'll capture for the leadership, we take for planning and risk, we take for support and policies, and the so on till technical and physical controls. So the final stage is we just see the overall data which is populated and what way we have reached so far. So the next stage is final approval. We can see these documents can be generated here. And also we see the master ISO report. I'll just show the last part. This is ISO report, where it will help during the time of internal audit, at what extent we have reached. Okay, this is what we see the final readiness report. This helps during the internal audit, where we can see the fast track stage progress report. I'll be walking you due to the shortage of time. We can see the executive summary. We have the fast track stage and progress summary. Here, this is very important part where we find the context of organization. It will mention stage 2, where do we find planning and risk objectives, stage 3 to 5, where we see the support resource awareness. We can find it in stage 6 and so on. So jumping on to the next, we can see the ISMS owner and approval. interested parties, risk management summary, Annex A control register. In the similar way, we just take this to present in front of external auditor, so that it will be easy during the time of auditor auditing, and we no need to go run here and there finding the documents in notepad, in emails and everything. Yes, I complete my.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I think it was quite a good detailed demo. I'm going to share my presentation again. Can you confirm you're able to see it?
Yes, Swapnil, I can see it.
Okay. So thank you very much, Alex, for your presentation. Alex, can you continue? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, can you continue? I think I'm having some issues sharing my screen. So you can just close the call. If there are any questions, we'll take it up.
Yep. So guys, I have shared so a link of Comply Agent, so you can access it from the chat box. You can explore. So this is a time where we take a Q&A session where you can drop your all the questions in the chat box, so that we can consider and get back to you with the solution. Yes. So we still have a time, so you can anytime you can just access the chat box, and you can share your thoughts, your questions, your doubts, as well as uh, yeah, yeah. We will definitely share the pricing option, so you will get the pricing option as well. So we will definitely share you the pricing option as well. So basically, it is visible in the website as well.
Abby, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm back.
Yes. Yep, we can.
So I'll just, because I had that information on the pricing.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see my PowerPoint.
Yes, we can. Clear.
Okay, hopefully this time. Okay, let's take a step back. So I know from the pricing option, so we have three options for FastTrack. The first option is a self-guided FastTrack. This is more of a DIY. So this is where you get the platform access and you can use it for your organization or for a client for unlimited number of times. You can generate the policies. You can generate as many as you need. This is a one-time payment. This is not a monthly payment. So you pay for $499 and then you have essentially lifetime access to it. So you can generate the documents you need. You can generate, you can regenerate them for your company or for one client. And then we have an expert guided FastTrack, which is, we can say, more done with you option that we like to call it. So in that option, our team works with you. We do a few sessions. We walk you through the entire process. If you're stuck anywhere, we log in, we do screen sharing, and we essentially work with you to kind of make sure that you're able to generate everything that you need. And we also do a review. The last, which is more for companies who want to get certified, is the done for you option. And this is where our team generates all the documents, handles all the process involved in 27001, right from putting your documentation, making sure management reviews are done, making sure everything is done. And then we have external partners, auditors, who we work with in different areas. We have auditors we work in the US, we have auditors we work in EU, in APAC. So whichever regions you want, we can get you an auditor if you're a specific. But this cost that we have, this is to get your entire ISMS working. And then depending on the auditor you choose, the cost can vary. But we have auditors who will probably charge around, I think, $2,000 or $3,000 just for the certification. But with 499, you get all your ISMS setup and everything to go for the audit. We make sure that you're ready, and once we'll always be there with you till your audit is complete. And for both these options, which are the 249 and 499, we don't ask everything up front, because I know it's hard for small businesses. So it is a stage-based payment. So you pay after the documents are complete, you pay after your internal audit is complete. Now the 499 also includes the toolkit, which we have for 27001. So not only do you get all documents generated, but you also have a physical toolkit, which itself is worth 299. So that's a very good deal. In terms of services, we offer different ways of working. So we have done for you, which we discussed. We also have ISO assurances services. This is where clients come to us and say, we want you to maintain the whole ISO process, certification, recertification. So this is more like a month-on-month basis. We work with them to make sure that systems are following the certification requirements, and they're always ready. And the third option is ISO on demand. We have a large team of experts. We can help you with internal audit. We can just help you with one policy. We can help you with your entire journey. If you want somebody to join your team just for a few hours, we can do that as well. So that is the ISO on demand. So we have ISO done for you. Assurance services done for you is more for certification. Assurances is for ongoing, and on demand is if you need somebody for 5 hours, 10 hours, we can help. A quick review of our Comply Agent platform. We are going through building this. So we have something called Comply Track, which is still in beta. If anybody wants to try it out, we'll be more than happy to share. We'll share a link where you can go and register and try it out. We have FastTrack for 9001 and 27001. You saw the 27001 version. And we are very soon launching our AI policy writer, which will help you to write policies. So our main aim is, if you need one document, whether you need a full system, whether you need a utility, or you need ongoing compliance, we have solutions for all of it. So that's Comply Agent. And then these are the customers that we have. Happy to share these details with you. In terms of Q&A, I think we have already received some questions. So Abby, did we receive any more questions?
Yes, so we have a couple of questions.
Let me go through these first, because they came through.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So these are the general themes. These are not the exact questions. So what 27001 certification actually requires, I hope I have answered that question. But essentially, it is your ISMS, your processes, and your policies all set up, and evidence that you are actually following what you have implemented. That is the most important thing. You must follow what you have documented in your policies. Start, scope, certification roadmap. We went through that. Documents you need, policies, risk register. We will send the list across again when we do that. That is something that is readily available with us. Same with implementation. We went through the process. Audit readiness, I think we spoke about it briefly. FastTrack helped the journey. I hope the demo was useful. One of the themes that I see, and this point number 7, is ISO 27001 and AI governance. I think everybody knows that AI governance is as important. We have built a model where you can implement both of them together. there's a lot of commonalities. And to be frank, there's a lot of commonalities across the ISO frameworks. Any frameworks you take, you are going to have some processes that are overlapped. In my opinion, there's quite a bit of overlap between these two. You can combine them if you are planning to go for both of them, or if you have clients planning to go for both of them. Please talk to us, and we can share the analysis that's being done by our experts. That's part of the 42001 toolkit, and we are also building an AI governance solution in Compliant Agent. And that AI governance solution is not just going to be ISO. It is because AI governance is much more wider. And I think what ISO has is good, but we also want to include things like EU AI Act, any other AI governance that is there, so we get maximum coverage. So if you're working on these two and need any help, please reach out. But definitely there is a lot of overlap between these two. And the next webinar we are planning to have is on 23rd July, and we are going to address one of the most common questions we get, whether you can get certified with just documents, or do you actually need compliance automation software. So we will send the invitation out to you. Abby, can you tell me what questions you have?
Yep. So I'll give you a couple of questions quickly where so the major question was, what about CMMC level 1 and level 2? They would like to try it out as well. So
yeah, so we are actually building a free assessment for CMMC, which we launch next week. For CMMC specifically, we have tied up with a company here in the US who will help with that. There'll be more information coming out soon. We will reach out, but yes, we are in the process of launching a free CMMC assessment tool, and then if there is more demand for it, we will definitely expedite it and launch it probably in a week or so.
Yep. So one more question is related to defense manufacturing company. So what do we help for defense manufacturing company?
The solutions that we have built are industry agnostic. Right now, we are more focused on the ISO, the general implementation of ISO, but CMMC is one solution where we are going to address, but we are more than happy to build custom solutions. One of the things that we do today is build custom GRC workflows. This is where we work with organizations to build custom GRC workflows for them. We have already built whatever we think are the pain points, but we can always get in touch and find out your requirements. Right now, our systems are more focused, like I said, industry agnostic, but happy to get feedback on that.
Yeah. So one more quick question is like there is some so anything related to FastTrack. Is FastTrack 499 per ISO certification?
Yes.
But then
just to be clear, the 499 is just for the software. That is for you to be able to use the software and generate the documents. Like I said, the certification audit is done by an external party, so they have their own costs, which you have to find out. But if you want us to organize, we can do that as well.
Yep. So one last question, which is a bit lengthy, so I'll be very quick. For an organization that has CE plus, multiple ISO certification, developing ISMS, Microsoft 365 security control, and decided governance function, what are the typical, the top 5 gaps preventing successful ISO 27001 certification?
I think this is a very specific question, which we'll have to get back to you on because it involves, I'll have to get some of the experts involved in that.
Yeah. So I would like to answer quickly to
Yes.
that, like summarizing that. So basically, the major gaps would be related to risk assessment and risk treatment, so which would be the major factor for preventing the certification. And the, like as you discussed in the earlier as the demonstration, where we need evidence of ISMS for operation, we have to have a statement of applicability. If you don't have it, then that is again a gap. Governance and performance monitoring and scope, asset inventory, and supplier management. Those are the top five, which would prevent and that can be a gap for preventing the certification. People who are opting for ISO certification.
All right. I think time's up. So I think the closing comments from us is we'll get back to any questions that we have not answered. You have our email address. Please reach out. There is live chat on our website. You can reach out. We also have a phone, so you can reach out on the phone. Please get in touch. I've shared a barcode which you can use to book a free ISO consultation. We are happy to get one of our experts to talk to you for 30 minutes or so, understand your requirements. No obligation. You don't have to buy. You don't have to take any service from us. But we'll be happy to know if we can be of help to you guys. Having said that, I think the closing comments are thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Hope that this session was useful and you got to know something more. We will share some of the resources with all of you. And yeah, thank you to the team for making this happen. Thank you, everybody. Abby, we can close the call.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.